Welcome to Legacy Sips and Tips podcast with your geeky host, Lindsay Wheeler, where we talk about everything from death, preparing for your future through estate planning, life, the occasional breakup, entrepreneurship, general nerdery, and of course travel, snowboard, and always wine. Welcome to Legacy Sips and Tips with your host, Lindsay Wheeler, and in this episode we're going to talk about travel. So we're going to start with packing and how most of you way overdo it, like way overdo it. You're going for a week and I should not see a full-size suitcase, like, oh my God. Yeah, we'll explain why. This year we're coming this summer and everyone's planning their trips, their holidays, their fun adventures, overseas or domestically, wherever you're going, we're traveling. Traveling is not as fun as it used to be. The airports suck, the time sucks, the amount of things you need to do with the airports suck, but there's ways to lessen the suckage, if you will. And that is packing light. I should not be seeing any of you who are going away for a week with a full ass suitcase. Like, get out of here with that. If you remember from last summer, all the horror stories of luggage being lost, the crazy images of Heathrow in London with just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bags just sitting there. So even if you pack all that stuff, the likelihood of it getting to you is becoming lesser and lesser and lesser the more shit you have. So I am in the club of carry-on only. I pack with just a backpack typically and a small personal bag that usually has my laptop in there so I can still work while I'm traveling. So my packing is for a week at a time essentially. So if I'm going for a week or a month, the packing is going to look the same because I'm going to go ahead and wash my clothes within that week or longer trip that I'm going on. So I only need basically 4 to 5 days worth of clothes, technically, maybe 7 if I'm going to push it. But for the most part, we just need a week for no matter how long the trip is going to be. With packing light, then you can carry your stuff on. It's always with you. You're not having to get off the flight, go to the baggage carousel, wait for it. Hopefully it gets there. Hopefully it was on the flight. It didn't go careening down the runway like I have seen bags before waiting for flights. That's a good one. You know, your stuff is going to be with you and you know where it is. So I'm team carry-on. I'm not team check in any way. I check very rarely. Maybe if an airline forces me to, or if I'm going to be gone for maybe a 3 or 4 month trip, then I will pack a little bit more just because I'm going to be gone for so long. But even then, the stuff's going to be the same. And also, you know, you're usually traveling to places where you can buy things as well. Like there are great stores out there that we have here as well that you can go and get some reasonably affordable things, or sometimes it's just nice to shop and you're able to get new fun things in the country that you're at. So as light as you can pack, the better. I always like Rick Steve. He's the extreme example of that, of just having like literally a small backpack. He has a tiny backpack. Like my backpack's a little bit bigger, but still fits the requirements of the smaller airlines like Spirit or Ryanair or EasyJet. It still fulfills those requirements, which are usually quite small. So I can carry that on and my stuff is going to go with me. The biggest thing for that, to make that happen, is packing cubes. Packing cubes all day long. They're the greatest thing ever. And rolling your clothes. So you want to make sure that you don't just have these like sweaters and all these things that are big and bulky. Roll your clothes and put them in the packing cube and they will squoosh down and you'll get way more than you think that you are going to get. Honestly, the bulk of my packing are underwear because I want some fresh undies every day. With that, I go, you can find get an Airbnb that you can rent that has a washer. Most foreign countries don't have dryers. That's usually an American thing. So you're going to hang your stuff, but you can typically find a washer in most places that you can rent. Oftentimes hotels, you can call out that laundry. They can do that. Or you can find a laundromat because in these countries, people themselves don't have washers. So they all go to the laundromat. You can spend, a couple hours just going to the laundromat and washing your clothes during that time. So it's kind of fun because you're getting into the local neighborhoods, you're meeting local people who are also doing their laundry, and it's kind of a cool cultural experience. So packing cubes, they come in different sizes, shapes, fabrics, if you will. I like the compression ones. I'm very particular to the double-sided ones for my main stuff. So one side of that, I'll put like my shirts all in there and then flip it over and then I'll put my pants in there. Depending on where you're going for how long, I like to bring a dress with me that can roll pretty easily. That's got maybe some, a cotton fabric or a lycra or something like that that can be doesn't need ironing or anything crazy like that and is okay to roll. A nice couple t-shirts, maybe a nice, dress shirt or nicer pants, that if you're going to go out to a nicer dinner, you either have that dress option or you have nicer looking outfit to go out for those. But for the most part, you're going to be exploring the city. You're going to be out and about. You're going to be walking around. So something that's comfortable for you to walk 5 to 10 to 15 miles of a city or wherever you're at walking around, because you're going to want to explore and be on the ground and see things as much as you can. So those are kind of my tips for that. Rollable things that if you need to wash them in a sink, easy to do. And I know this is horrifying some of you people who like to travel with big suitcases. Unless you're going to a specific special event and you're only there for a couple days and you really need to have maybe outfit changes because you're speaking or at a conference or something like that, then okay, maybe you can pack a little bit more because you might need shoe changes or whatever for us women. For the most part, you're not going to need any of that. And the likelihood of you being like, oh my God, I've completely overpacked is real. Because think about it, you're going to have to lug these big, heavy suitcases, trying to get them into small European cars or taxis, trying to get them on trains, trying to get them checked in through the airport, huffing them through the streets with cobblestones. Having a full-size suitcase on cobblestones is not pleasant, and you can see the tourists who do it. Also makes you kind of an immediate target that you're struggling, you have all this crap with you. Why? Why do you need all that? You don't at all. Let me tell you again, you don't need all that. You're gonna be totally fine with a couple outfits that you can recycle through, maybe, oh, God forbid, wear them twice. It'll be okay. Wear deodorant, bring a little perfume, fine. You're totally fine. I like to bring usually a pair of flip-flops in case I'm showering somewhere or want to go to the beach, so I can have that change of, footwear. Maybe a nice little sandal that will squish down. I'm not sponsored by these guys or affiliated, but Rothys brand is amazing. They're made out of recycled material. They look super cute. They're like ballet flats, and you can just wash them. So they get wet. They're not like leather or anything like that. You're not ruining them. They get dirty. They get smelly. You just throw them in a washing machine. They're golden. That's a great brand for travel shoes. And your everyday shoes as well. They look super cute. You can pair them with a dress. You can put them with cute little capris or shorts or whatever outfit you have. They're pretty versatile that way. I like to travel with my biggest shoes on, so like my tennis shoes or a cute sneaker that you can put some mileage on and that you feel comfortable walking in. I wear those so they're not taking up room in my bag. And then depending on how you travel, maybe some of your bag space is going to be devoted to your comforts on the plane. So if you're doing a long haul flight, you're going to Europe, you're going to be on the flight for 10, 12 hours. I have some things that I really like. I like a eye mask so that it's dark for me, some earplugs that work really well, maybe a blanket or one of those. I like the turtle one that wraps around that kind of mummifies your neck so you're not kind of really moving, as opposed to like the donuts. I feel like those take up too much space, where mine kind of like shoves into the front pocket of my backpack. A little bit easier. Also, the eye mask and the earplugs are nice for when you're at maybe at a hotel, a hostel, Airbnb that you're uncomfortable with or not comfortable. It's not your home, and maybe they don't have the best curtains or light or whatever, so you can always block that out and feel more comfortable where you're sleeping. So those are kind of some of those tips that I like for my bags. Your toiletry bag, again, too, you're going to have smaller things. There's no need for you to bring full-size anything. Like, why? That's just weight. That's just weight. So a good rule of thumb is that, would you take your suitcases or what you're traveling with and go walk around your block? Go walk half a mile with that and see how comfortable and easy it is for you to do. Because that's what you're going to probably do in foreign countries, getting to or from the airport, the train station, your hotel, your Airbnb, whatever it is. Go walk around your block with your bags and see how easy that is for you, and then you will immediately take out half of your stuff. I also like to pack sometimes, think about my life, and then repack. Because I'll look at it, maybe I'll pick up the backpack and I'm like, wow, this is a little too heavy. I don't need half this shit. So you take it out. So your toiletry bag is usually a heavier item because it has some of those things in there, like your makeup, your shampoos, your nice soaps. But a lot of times too, you can go to these countries and you can go to their local grocery store and get the soaps that they use there, which is kind of fun. You can go and cruise through and see, oh, they use this kind of soap, or this is the body wash they use, and oh, I like the smell of that, so you can do that as well. That's always kind of a fun cultural experience to do. And making sure that your stuff is packed fairly light. They have nice little bags that zip down, have all your stuff in order. And with that, I always make sure that my wet items like shampoos, face wash, maybe sunscreen, body wash is in a plastic zippy bag. So in case it does happen to break open, it's not going to get all over your stuff, because I've had that happen and it is traumatizing when you get to your place and you open your bag and you go, oh shit. So making sure, even if you just use a Ziploc bag, just making sure that it's in a separate container that's, separate from your stuff. That's not going to, if it is exploding, it's going to stay within that container. Make sure you have all your documents with you, your passport, of course, medical card just in case, driver's license. If you need to drive a car, you're going to rent a car, and keep those all in a safe place too. Oftentimes you can buy like the little separate like pouches, like they're like the little fanny packs that go underneath your clothes, or like a one that goes like you hang it and it goes underneath your clothes to keep your, your credit cards, your cash, your passport in one safe place that pickpockets can't get to you. So just think about that, just be aware of your surroundings. Don't act like a tourist. Don't look around and be like, oh, check your stuff out, sure, but just be aware of your surroundings. As a woman, I also like to carry a crossbody bag, not like a purse or anything that's on my back, like a backpack for being out in the city. A crossbody bag is really nice because it keeps everything in front of you. If you're in a crowded space or getting on a train or a subway or a metro or something, you can put your hand directly on your bag and hold it right in front of you. You can move it around. It's right there for you, so you have more kind of authority over your bag, and it's not just being open and available for people to get into. Most of the times when you go to foreign countries, the crime is going to be petty crimes of theft. They're going to try to take your stuff. So just being aware of that and kind of making it difficult for them, or not as easy as a target. So not looking like a tourist, figuring out where you're going to go and get there accordingly, having lesser stuff so you're not hauling all this stuff around and being distracted, and having that crossbody bag so all your stuff's in front. This week's wine is Dillian. It's a Semillon. This is from Amador County in the foothills of California. This is a really nice wine. I'm not really particularly fond of a Semillon, but this one I really like. It's crisp. It's got that nice apple to it. It's not overpowering or flat, if you will. So it's got some nice body. It's got some nice acid to it. And it's a really nice summer drinker, if you will. So that is always a nice wine to have if you're in the foothills. Easy drinker, nice to have. With our travel episode, this wine glass is from a bodega in Spain, out of the Rioja region. And I am amazed that this made it back in a backpack on a carry-on. So this was a nice little fun souvenir that I normally wouldn't pack back with me. But I'm happy I have it so I can drink my beautiful wine and talk to you guys. So now we talked about don't pack a bunch of shit that you don't need and lugging that around with you. Like, again, take that around the block of your neighborhood. See how easy it is to lug all that stuff by yourself. It's not easy, and you're going to want to be as light as possible. You also want a little bit of room in there because you might want to buy some stuff. For me, my souvenirs are magnets because they're easy to pack. They're small, if you will. They're a cool memory. I see them every time I go into my fridge of where I've been, as opposed to buying all this like superfluous junk that they try to sell you. You're not going to look at that stuffed animal that you brought back, or I don't even know what, some of this other hokey stuff that people shop and buy for. Culinary items, that's maybe another different thing. Sometimes more cultural, souvenirs of a place, they'll ship that back for you, which is really cool. So if you spend a certain amount of money, they'll ship that back. So say, for instance, in Ireland, where I just got back from, their big thing are, of course, the sweaters with the Irish wool. Those are big and bulky. I'm not going to be able to fit that in my backpack. Cool about those stores are they're like, hey, you spend over €100, we will ship that for free home. My sweaters got here before I did. So super cool on that. Always check with that if you do want some bigger items, souvenirs. Oftentimes those companies will ship them home for you. So that's great. So you're not having to put them in your luggage or suitcase and having to lug that around for the rest of your vacation. With that, so packing light is important because when you do go to foreign countries, you're going to want to travel around and see other places. So getting from the airport in a lot of these places is the airports are usually outside of the main city hubs. So it's usually a 30-minute, 40-minute either train or bus ride in from the airports because they're outside of the actual big old city centers. So that takes time. So think about that if you have heavy luggage, trying to get them on these buses and then try to find your locations. Otherwise, of course, you can get a taxi or can get a Uber, but those are usually going to run you $60, $70, $100 to get in from that airport. With that, transportation in foreign countries. We're in America. We are gas-centric. The automotive lobby and the gas lobby has made this country so dependent on our roads and our vehicles that we don't really have good infrastructure in many of our states. Bigger cities, of course, like LA or New York, have those underground, subways that make it a little bit more easy to bebop around. But for the most part, in America, if you're traveling, you're going to need to rent a car. Of course, usually being over 25 to rent a car, having that credit card available. And that's a big one. And I learned this one with this last trip, is that I rented a car in Ireland. They did a $1,500 hold on my card. That is a lot of money to be held off of a card. So keep that in mind. I've seen them hold up to $5,000 on a card. So making sure that you have that availability of space if you're renting a card for them to run. If you're going to a country and you're going to rent a car. Also very important to double check in which foreign country you're going to if you're going to rent a car, what their requirements are. Do they accept your state driver's license, or do they require to have an international driver's license? The international driver's license is frankly a little bit of a scam. You pay like $80 to whoever and they send you this like driver's license in the mail. It's stupid. Or you can go down to your AAA and they'll give you like a little booklet that's your international driving permit, if you will. So some countries require that, like Spain wanted that, which is stupid. And then you cross the border into France and they don't care. So it's just, always double check of what you're doing, making sure that you have at least one credit card that has that availability space on there, because they're not going to run it, but they're going to hold that. So it'll tie up your credit card, which could be a big problem for some people. So if you're traveling really budgetly and you're trying to keep your money tight and you don't have a lot to spend, making sure that you have a credit card for that, and then you can spend your budget on another card or with cash. With that, most of these countries now are all cashless. They're all credit card. Most of them all take credit cards. I like to get foreign money cash just because it's cool looking. I like to have that as well. So I usually do check with my bank account which one offers the lowest like international fees or withdrawal fees, ATM fees, and the exchange rate as well. So double check that. So I usually go and I will take out $300 or $400. So I'm not going to an ATM for $20 or $30 every time, because then I'm going to get dinged with fees. I'm going to make sure I take a bigger chunk and then disperse that money out within my bags. Maybe I have $100 on me. I have some in another bag. Maybe I have some on my little carry thing. I have some with my passport or whatever. So if one thing unfortunately got taken, and they're not taking all of my stuff, if you will. So kind of moving things around in that sense. I like to put money in my toiletry bag, because a lot of thieves aren't giving a care about your shampoo or your face cleaner. They're not really checking in there to see if there's cash. So I usually stash some money in there. With that, transportation. So renting a car, making sure that you're aware of the driving, situation, that you're able to kind of read the signs, making sure that if you're driving on the right side of the road, some countries you drive on the other side, which is slightly a little traumatizing if you're not used to it. It's very difficult. A lot of the countries too have roundabouts, which a lot of us don't have in this country in America. So being aware of how roundabouts work, multiple lane roundabouts, how those work, those can be kind of tricky. So just kind of being versed on that. I know there's YouTube videos on all this. So you guys, if you're going to a certain country, just Google it and just do some research a little bit before you get there. Understanding the metro of certain cities that you're going to be in, if you're going to be in main cities, how the metro work. Even in foreign countries that have different languages, maybe some of the Asian countries, it looks overwhelming and daunting, but they're all going to have a pattern. So either they're color-coded, they're letter-coded, or a combination thereof. They're going to have a pattern, and they're going to be, once you understand the system, it'll be super easy for you to be accustomed to it. So again, just a little pre-planning. You can take a look at the maps. You can see Google, of course, Google Maps is great. I can't even remember what it was like to not travel with that and have like paper maps and have to rely on that, which is cool because you had to actually talk to locals and, have some discourse of where you're going, which could turn into really cool experiences. Now we're so reliant on our phones that we're not really talking to other people of how to get around, but still it'll tell you fastest ways to get places. You can click the train and it'll tell you what subways to take or how to get there more efficiently, and you can pick and choose bus routes and all that. So that's all at your fingertips. With that, having an international plan, checking with your carrier. Oftentimes they'll do a $10 a day for your phone to work fairly reasonably like it does here. They'll cap you at your usage. So don't be looking at Facebook the whole day or downloading anything, because they'll cap it and then you'll lose that. Use it primarily for communication, checking your email, and then usually primarily just for those maps if you're on cellular and not Wi-Fi. Most of these countries have phenomenal Wi-Fis because everybody is on there. They're not really using their phone data, because a lot of those countries, they pay individually for the data, not like we do where we buy a whole plan. They pay as they go. That's why WhatsApp is a big thing that everybody uses in most foreign countries, because it's all on Wi-Fi. It's not cellular, so everyone can talk to each other. So download that usually if you're going to go, because a lot of people will want to communicate with you that way. Airbnbs, bread and breakfasts, hotels or whatever will WhatsApp you. So there's that option. And then, train systems in most countries are fantastic. That's how most people get around. They're great. The train systems are great. So instead of renting a car and trying to navigate the roads themselves and kind of be dangerous, you can just get on a train. They're affordable, they're easy, you just sit on there, you can relax, you can bring a snack, you can read your book, you can sleep, whatever it is. It's great. Trains are fantastic. And then of course they have the short haul flights in most of these countries to the different little countries or within the regions that are usually more affordable than traveling domestically in America. So those are all the options for you. And of course, when you travel with those domestic airlines in those foreign countries, their luggage and baggage requirements are much, much, much smaller than they are here. So double check what those fees are. They will charge you to check bags, and even some of your carry-ons may be considered a checkable bag depending on size and weight. So those are some things to look out for, those hidden costs that they might get you with that way. So those are ways to do it. And you can also look at apps too that will help you find the best prices for things like Skyscanner, Google Flights, Omnio with the trains. Like, there are all the options of now these resources to get you the best price that you can. So traveling, most people want to travel with a partner, but honestly, solo travel is amazing. And I've done a lot of solo traveling. It may seem like it's lonely, but it's really not, because you get to do what you want. You're not babysitting somebody else. You're not dealing with somebody else's feelings or whatever it is. You get to dictate where you go on your trip, which is super cool. So you want to go sit on the street and sip some wine and read a book for the afternoon? Great. No one's there to bother you. You can do that. You want to go hike one of the major hills or the national parks in these countries? Great. No one's there to bother you. And you will always meet people. And that's a cool way of doing it, because you are by yourself. So you're able to talk with people or book a tour or something, and you're going to meet like-minded people like yourself, and you're going to make friends. And that's going to be a super cool experience that you would not have maybe have had if you were traveling with a partner or with somebody else or friends, that you guys are in your own little bubble and you're not really kind of experiencing the outside world as if you would by yourself. So with that, there may be some type of culture shock going to a foreign country. Foreign foods, different people, different customs. A lot of countries that have a lot of people, they have no personal space. They're going to be in your bubble because there's so many of them. They're just used to that. You're going to be jostled getting on a train. You're going to be jostled in a line or getting food or whatever. And sometimes you have to be aware, again, crossbody bag, hand on front if you're in a crowd, and, be aware that you might have to be a little aggressive. You might have to be a little forceful and make sure that you push your way in there. Otherwise, you're never going to get on the train. But pay attention to look, you can tell social cues from other people. Are they lined up in a certain way? Are they moving in a certain way? Try to assimilate yourself as best you can to go with the flow, because then you're looking less of a target. You look like what you're doing, and you're being respectful to those people and their culture as well. Foreign foods. You might look at foods and go, ew, that's gross. Well, no, it's not gross. It's just different. We're not used to that. So when we see a whole buffet spread of crickets and scorpions and mealworms or something, most of us would go, oh, that's not good. That's just different. We're not used to that, but they are. So it's not gross or icky. It's just different. So try not to let people know that their food and their culture is gross, because that's not the nicest. Just say it's different, or it's unusual, or I'm not used to that. That's interesting. It's a nice way to do it. Also, do your research when you go to, a foreign land or whatever. Just get a little bit of kind of the knowledge of the customs. What's acceptable, what's not acceptable. What do people look for? just don't be that ugly tourist. Try not to be. I always say learn at least 5 phrases in a foreign language if you're going to a country that doesn't speak English. Hello, good evening if they have that change. Please, thank you, I'm sorry is a good one. That's always a good one. As soon as you say I'm sorry, everyone goes, ooh, yeah, okay. If you can learn, anything beyond that, they'll appreciate that as much as you can. Always apologize. I'm sorry. Could you please speak in English for me? Most people do. They're accommodating. They might make fun of you a little bit, but that's fine. They're going to be helpful. Most people around the world are super cool. They're friendly. They're helpful. They're just like us. They just live in a different place. So always keep that in mind. Just be respectful. Try to, assimilate a little bit to their culture and learn their culture, because that's why you're there. Why else would you be traveling? If you didn't want to do that, you could just go down to your local sports bar and call it a day. You're there for a reason. You're there to learn. You're there to experience something else and a different culture, a different way of life, a different history. Why not be open to that and, try to experience that as best and easily as you can. So if you want more tips and tricks on how to travel and how to travel light, let me know. I've been to 30 countries at this point, many of them multiple times, just because I like to go back to where I like. But my goal is to get 50 by 50, so I'm really working on that sooner than later, just because these knees aren't hiking up mountains much longer, everyone. Yay, soccer. But if you want to know some tips and tricks or some packing cubes or some rolling ideas for your clothes or how to pack light, as light as you can, let me know, and I can definitely chit-chat with you a little bit about that. And of course, when you think of death, think of me. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you found value, please like, subscribe, and share. And be sure to follow me on all the socials at Sips and Tips with Lindsay. And of course, you can always go to my website, sipsandtipswithlindsay.com, to find more information about estate planning, business, snowboard, travel, and of course, wine. As always, we have to get the legal stuff out of the way. I went to law school, so you don't have to. However, we have to read the special disclaimer that I am not a practicing attorney. I am not your attorney. I am not offering any legal advice in any content or any episode. All content is for your information and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for seeking your own legal advice from your own attorney or other professionals such as a CPA or financial advisor. I cannot give legal advice and do not offer any legal services or legal advice, but I do offer some fun and educational content for you to enjoy.